个不错哎。对了，这个不错，这个真的不错。这个真的不错。好标，我要换标题。有没有？怎么了？是说什么？你不玩 BB 跟 DKS， 我有玩啊，对啦，他就被吓到，觉得堵烂，然后就不开了。猜的没错。不是只有转角有怪好吗？有时候木门里面会有月月跳出来。木门里面的月月。这是什么东西啊？2D 版。什么东西 ？PC game。这东西看起来挺有趣。
The kid was looking down, watching his city burn. Sorry, kid. Bernardo told the kid. Look, if we give them the book, they'll leave you alone.
My mother died for this book!
I promised her I'd protect you. Oh, damn it. The kid had run off. With the book, of course. So Renato had to run after him.
帅气的狐狸大叔 ，Protect Peter.
The two ravens were staring at the kid like he was their dinner, which probably was what was in their tiny brains. Hey, Renato said. They cocked their heads at him. Pick on someone as ugly as you. Wait, that didn't come out right.
For the Emperor!
The ravens cawed and rushed at him. A dropship flew overhead. He hoped they hadn't noticed him. The kid. Oh, right. The Gate of Heroes. Someone's idea of a joke, making the Skyship Docks a gated community. You needed a hero's sword to open it. And the kid was on the other side of the gate. Who let you through?
Promise me you'll take the book to the rebels!
Or I'm gonna steal your ship. I'm not taking that damn book anywhere, and neither are you.
Try and stop me, laughed the kid. I bet you don't even have a hero sword.
And with that, the kid hopped away. Had to hand it to the kid. He was an idiot, but he had guts. Where was Renato going to get a hero sword? Ore and wind essence? That sounds about right. I'll need a workshop, though. Perfect.
讲中文，就是不行这游戏好像没有日文Sport crafting， 总之呢，我们拿到的素材可以打造剑。This is the short crafting menu. Here you can craft and upgrade multiple magic swords. 在这个选单，就是在这个画面下，你可以打造自己的剑，或者是升级你的剑。
A hero sword.
做的材料了，
QED
打造你的剑服，英雄剑。下面的一串破文法看不懂。好哦。总之我们现在有一把英雄剑，我们还有一个帅气狐狸大叔。单字库其实蛮偏门的，你根本是玩特定的游戏的时候认识那些字吧，然后就一去不返了的那种，对。哇哦哇哦哇哦！所以说我们会拿到英雄剑、火焰风暴、冰霜风暴跟虚空剑。总之这是英雄剑，翻译的真烂，对不起。TRPG 我想也是啦。我们有了一把新的剑，真的。好，接下来。
This is what he got for settling down and finding people to care about. The kid's mum had been a swell cook, and she'd laughed at Renado's jokes, even when he didn't know he'd made one. And then the ravens had come to burn her. And she'd made him promise to protect the kid. But she never told him where the book was. Just the kid.
总之，我忘记序章故事在讲什么了。我昨天开的时候没有很认真看。他们跟一本书有关。
It was too far to jump. There'd been a bridge here before, hadn't there? And there was Peter,
没有
giggling at him.
他是用那个魔法剑
He asked the kid.
所
Where'd
以
you find a
这把
hook?
剑是有魔
I
法，
hopped,
没看到刚打的材
said
料
the
吗
kid. Wise ass kid.
Hey, look out behind you!
Cute, said Renato. Ah, ravens.
好多乌鸦。
It was time to talk some sense into the kid. Just hook his way across the ledge and chase the kid down. Thing was, he hadn't used his hook since he'd retired. How had he done it? Maybe if he meditated at that altar there, he'd remember his old skills.
是像 skill info 技能升级界面，要找到这个石像才能升级。什么 hook？ 钩子。 在你顺利的 counter 的时候，它可以让时间稍微慢下来。那种专注时间。哦，它的 counter 是可以有伤害的，只要点技能的话。
It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember. And there was the Farfarer. She was the fastest ship he'd ever known. She could do the Kestra run in 12 furlongs. Oh, so the salesman had told him. And something told him the kid was about to walk into an ambush.
Stop! He shouted. I'm not giving you the book!
Shouted the kid, and took off.
No! Peter!
But the kid ran for it. And a goggler nailed him with its ivy.
Ah.
The book was unburned. Next to it were the buckles from the kid's shoes.
God.
And the kid-sized pile of ashes. Damn it. Why hadn't he lied and told the kid he'd take the book to the rebels? The kid would be alive now. Really pissed off and betrayed, but alive. Oh, damn it. Renato picked up the book. He couldn't let the Empire have it now. He was going to have to get it out of there. He'd be a wanted man. Probably have to join the rebellion just to have a place to dock. Well, he'd hated home life anyway. What was the big deal about this book anyway? Maybe he should open it and find out. All that had been years ago. How many? The war was a blur, and now 3 Raven scout ships were chasing him.
Where are you running, rebel?
Cawed the Raven captain over the loudhailer. Renato could see them cranking up their catapults.
Just going out for milk?
Renato yelled back.
Where can you run?
Laughed the Raven horribly. Far behind him, another city was burning. The dark cloud above its island was thousands of Imperial ships. The fleet was doing a thorough job.
Take us to the rebel base, and we'll spare your life!
It cawed. The entire jury-rigged rebel fleet was only a few islands to the east. Beyond that were only the pillars of heaven, a sea of endless blood-colored tornadoes. The rebellion was out of time, unless Renato could bring a game-changer. Maybe he could. Renato had found out where he could find the pieces of the Sky Ripper, the legendary weapon that had exiled the lost gods. Surely a legendary weapon could win the final battle. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino had sent Renato a desperate message saying he had a brilliant scheme to save the rebellion. If Renato could only rescue him. Renato dived the Farfarer towards the abyss. As he felt the heat of the jet stream, the Raven ships peeled off, not stable enough to follow him down there. Now it was time to choose. Lapino or the Sky Ripper.
总之，这只 Renato 狐狸就是。
Ah, Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. The Ravens had figured out that Lapino was a rebel spy. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse.
它是多线式的剧情发展， 所以说，刚那个其实是剧情分级选项，靠背哦。
Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the ravens?
这游戏好像有很多路线。
Ooh, sparkly, thought Renato. This was definitely better than pulling yourself up in a bucket. People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Renato had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the ravens caw about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice. Have you ever felt you were just going round in circles? Renato felt like that.
Oh, 所以说要用火箭才能开门 ，bug。那这是第1轮，所以不可能走那里是吧
He wasn't that good. Yet. Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lapino. Where had the mad rabbit got to? Renato's blood was up. He just needed to smash something.
3点技能点 mark。哎，什么？一定要照顺序吗？什么 ？mark 奇怪哎。
It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember.
Wahoo 的武器大好帅啊！
It was good to practice your moves, thought Bernardo. Keeps you limber. 'Dirty and bloody, Bernardo finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Bernardo recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, see, this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter. That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Take on Zenobia. Ronaldo and Lapino together forever. Still needing a good children to save. Maybe Lapino was right. Maybe they should kill him. So 我们该怎么选呢？哇，那个懒得思考。
Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course.
漂亮的。
She'd been Renato's best friend in sword fu school. And you're still mad for her, the rabbit reminded him. They'd been close. She'd told him things no one else knew. But she'd never told him who she really was. She knows all the Emperor's plans, chuckled the master spy. She won't give them up easily. She'll tell the interrogators, all right.
在学
said
校的时候
Lapino. Taking her would change the
从来
game,
没有
all
告
right.
诉 Ronaldo， 她其实是皇帝的女儿这样。好冷哦，好累哦，怎么那么冷啊？为什么那么冷啊？因为这大太阳。
The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty.
Capture Zenobia。这游戏据说单轮不会很长，是短篇小品。超帅的好吗
Kill her! Kill the rebel! Caught one, Raven. Eat the rebel! Caught another.
并键打开。
Huh? A lever? That was new. Most people still use doorknobs. So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lapino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lapino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato.
Lapino's geese, net, fire, toad, watermelon, set.
Oh, this is gonna be fun, said Lapino, as he ran to go set up his marvelous plan. If I craft a sword now, it's gonna be really short. Nice. That could be useful. Renato felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. But against all odds, Peppino's idiotic plan worked. Zenobia's ravens ran off after the geese, the net dropped, and Renato jumped out of the watermelon and put his sword to Zenobia's throat. "Renato," she said, "are those new scars? They look good on you. You never return my velvet jacket. It was my favorite. You look stupid in velvet. Oh, what does an imperial princess know about style? Oh, get a room, you two," said Latino. But the fleet was coming on fast, so they put Zenobia on the Farfarer and took her east, over the Nexus. She'd vanished from Swordfu School, from his life, without even saying goodbye, without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter. Ah, Lapina was right, Renato thought reluctantly. She knows things. She recognized his look. "You're taking me to the interrogators, aren't you?" she said, wide-eyed. And then she jumped, with horror. Renato saw Zenobia plummeting. Then he saw the Nexus below them. Cats always land on their feet. "Ah, she'll head for the Imperial outpost," yelled Lapino. "You have to catch her."
跳下来的猫。走，我们现在要去抓公主殿下。妈的，是你的什么烂计划了，Pino？
Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. If he ran, he could head her off before she reached her minions at the outpost. Well, he did love a good chase.
Oh no, oh no， 我不应该先踩上来。下去吗？哦，不行，应该有肉吃，肉吃，完了。不行，不能回到上一个储存点。
And this is why heroes are called dashing, Renato thought. See? Dashing? Get it?
什么都没有。
I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Renato. Sometimes, Renato really hated inanimate objects. Sorry, mustache, thought Renato.
Who needed bridges anyway? He was closing on her. He could smell her fear. He tried not to think about the interrogators at the secret base. What did they do to her? Maybe it didn't have to end that way. Maybe he could talk to her. But, after all, there were worse things the Imperials had done to friends of his. A crafting bench. Renato wondered what he could make with it.
Yeah. 想升级啊！啊，掉下去了！干，还有这种哦，会掉下去哦。
Renato reached the outpost. The Imperials there were no match for him. Soon after, Zenobia limped up the path. When she realized he was already in front of her, she didn't even try to run. Oh, you left without saying goodbye. Again, he said, enjoying this a little too much. She said, shaken. Oh, spare us the chit-chat, would you? Said Lapino as he shackled her hands so she couldn't throw spells. She knows all his plans. All the way back to the farm. Lapino nagged Renato about how the interrogators would pry all the intel out of Zenobia. How that would turn the tides in the imminent battle. All they had to do was take her to the rebel secret base. Renato didn't like to think about what the interrogators would do to her. Couldn't he just talk to her? As they pulled away from the Nexus, Renato could see the fear in Zenobia's eyes. I can't take her to those creatures at the base, he whispered to Lapino. Ah, you've gone soft. Soft in the head. We captured her for what she knows. I'll take her to the mountains. Tell all the horrible things the Emperor's done. Yeah, believe me, she'll turn. And he turned the wheel. The hell you will! Shouted Lapino, and he grabbed the wheel back from him. The two of them wrestled for control of the ship. It shot off like a mad sparrow. Suddenly, Renato was falling.
皇帝到底对你女儿做了什么？
When he came to, Zenobia was standing over him. Why didn't you take me to the base to be interrogated? She demanded. Do you know what's left of people they interrogate? This is some trick, isn't it? To make me fall for you again. Well, I won't. Oh, go on then. Scurry back to your ravens. I can't stop you, but strangely, she didn't. As Renato set off to find the Farfarer, she followed him, keeping just out of sight of the ravens.
元素差异啊！
Can't we just agree to disagree? Said Renato. No?
哦，有了，我可以打到火箭啊！
This burning sword from the south was terrific for barbecuing sausages and ravens.
Don't look down, he thought.
Hey, 嗨，你好，怎么啦？怎么啦？想买 PS4 是吗？
Don't look down, he told himself. Don't look down. Could be the new aerobics craze. Am I right?
去看《生之行》啊！哦，我还没看，我这礼拜6要去看，已经约人了。
As Renato stopped to sniff the wind, Zenobia came up, still mad. Did you really think you'd just talk me into betraying my father? Oh yeah, sure, that was exactly my plan. Then why aren't you even talking to me?
许夫，你现在都几点
Because
睡
I've
啊
never？ talked you into anything in my life. They're gonna court-martial you for letting me go. He caught a whiff of the Farfarer. Wet rope, tar, and a cask of Scobel ale he'd spilt last year. It was that way.
好冷哦。 量少吃东西。shit， 妈的，日西根本就不知道哪里有。中午睡个午觉合情合理，干嘛呢？确定你不是昨晚到中午才睡？耶！我今天晚餐免费，开心。
Bernardo wondered if he should have taken Zenobia to the rebel base for real. Maybe she wasn't playing him after all. After the bleak talk about the Emperor's dark secrets, he was regretting his suspicions. Sure enough, the Farfarer had crashed in some rocks. There was no sign of Lupino. Zenobia caught up. All that kid stuff in Swordfu School. Look, that's the past. We're adults now. We have duties to other people. We have destinies. What are you talking about? And you are the most arrogant, slow-witted, light-fingered, mercenary, immoral, reckless. Run away with me, said Renato, and he realized he meant it. Just like that, she demanded. I will, if you will. So she kissed him. And it was the best kiss he'd ever had. They held hands.
Renato
felt light-hearted, like the winds that were playing the rigging like a balalaika. But Lupino, I need to get back to Lupino, he said, suddenly realizing he could have been captured. A prisoner. He's not. How'd you know? He saw something in her eyes he didn't understand. He fell, didn't he? Into the abyss. She looked away, wouldn't answer. But then a bolt smashed through the Farfarer's keel. The broken ship plummeted out of the clouds.
听说这游戏要把就是几乎所有路线跑过才会知道整个故事的全貌。好嘞。
Renato picked himself off the deck. They were alive. We have to get to my private ship, she said. Do you trust me? I guess I must, he said. You go on ahead. Clear the path. I can't kill my own soldiers. He wanted to say that he didn't trust her, that he had no idea what he was getting into. But he had no choice, did he? He was following his heart. That's what it means to be a hero. You have to follow your heart.
我不想知道。好难收集哦，是不是一个都还没有啊？表现非常棒。活到第几轮才有办法把虚空剑配出来
Renato felt like he was ready to learn new things. Thank goodness he didn't have to go to school for that.
宝剑超强的好吗？
The portal was heavily guarded. It must go someplace they really didn't want it to go.
差点忘记旁边有一直在偷放魔法。一直被魔法戳。
Renata felt a little better.
Yeah.
This device, he could travel at night, so long as there were ravens to set on fire.
这游戏打起来其实挺爽快的，虽然攻击很单调。那 counter 做起来超爽。
No skateboarding, the sign said. To catch their breath. It was strange to be so close to her. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm trying very hard not to think. Me too, he said. Up ahead, he could see the thin silver of Zenobia's personal ship. It looked fast. They would leave all this behind.
我还没有拿到那个宝箱啊，让我拿宝箱啊！
Renato wondered if his future self had commissioned these poles.
up your attack. Grapnels. 哦。直升机恐高。哎。
As they reached her ship, Renato suddenly felt a sharp pain in his stomach. He was surprised to see a crossbow bolt sticking out of it.
I was going to lead the Empire to our secret base, said Lapino. But no, you had to screw up my plan because you still got a thing for her.
Renato stared at Zenobia. The kiss. Was it real? She said, with a look of indescribable sorrow. She gestured and said an arcane word, and Lapino went flying into the abyss, screaming,
I'm telling your father!
Then she knelt down to cradle his head, and her paws felt very soft and warm. Okay, that was weird. He could have sworn he just died. Instead, he was on the Farfarer, sailing away from Ubar. And it was still burning. He'd fled burning Ubar years ago, hadn't he? And now he was back there. Had all those years fighting the Empire been nothing but a vision into the future? A useful vision if it was true. He'd learned something. Lapino was a traitor. Renato had suspected there was something wrong with the Mad Rabbit. But now he knew there was malice behind his goofiness.
因为很冷啊。因为很冷啊。我英文很烂啊。总之，我们的主角就是走一走，然后被宰掉了。结果那个原本的那个兔子伙伴在那边讲说，啊，就是反正就是那个他原本的那个伙伴其实就是背叛主角的人。然后那个这一切其实好像都还是阴谋。然后皇帝的女儿，也就是刚那只猫，那个公主，就是因为反正都露馅了嘛。然后主角就问说啊，所以刚刚那个吻是怎样？然后那个公主很无奈的讲说是真的。可是这时候主角已经快挂了。然后那个公主很愤怒的用魔法把那只兔子丢出去。然后那只兔子临走之前在那边讲说，我要告诉你家老爹，就是皇帝。然后 anyway， 我们的主角挂了。What kind of hero are you? A hero who will always follow his heart. 总之这是第一种结局。我们知道了新的真相，就是 Lapino 就是背叛者。新地点解锁。这游戏的故事线也太多真相了吧？你看，现在只是 Lapino 图示的，这个是，所以说有4个真相。那关于公主的真相是什么？靠，这游戏，哇！
He'd made bad choices. But now, when the real battle came, He wouldn't make those choices. He wouldn't make the same mistake twice. The book's pages began to flip backwards, towards the beginning. And he realized that his adventure was just beginning. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Renato. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
妈的，你这个 traitor！ 我靠！
Every child knew about the Sky Ripper. The transcendent emperor had buried its pieces. What could have brought them to light? This emperor, Isengrim III, had once been kind, but he'd gone mad. And now he was conducting secret, obscene rituals to bring back the lost gods. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the earth? It was more than Renato could fathom. But if he could find the legendary weapon,
他总共有4把武器，然后他门要用武器来开，是魔法解锁方式，就把相应的武器插到门中，就可以把那道门解开。那第一轮的时候，你一定是只有英雄剑，那其他剑的话，火箭有可能做出来，然后反正你可能要多跑好几轮，才有办法把整个故事看完。
As he set foot on the island, Renato couldn't help feeling a bit curious.
他这样跑一轮应该也不到1小时吧，还是1小时多？
He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Renato felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Renato never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it?
升级武器也可以拿来制造新武器。我现在是以开新武器为目标了。其实，不去走走看，根本不会发现这边有路。虽然说战斗上面系统比较单调。
Thought Renato.
还差20。差6，可以升级了，不要，一个宝石都没拿到，哎，说不定有了，会不会是结局就拿到？没有，会不会玩好几轮都找不到任何宝石啊？而且你在地图里面也会遇到分歧。 不要啊！干死掉啊
The goat. Take the goat across first, Renato thought.
You have
but it was too
died.
late.
个就是要用剑开的门啊！我现在的拿的剑不对，所以不能开门。我靠！后标啊！
But there were still so many games to play, Renato thought as he died.
太难了啦！好难啊！呼吸到底在哪？
The people who had built this castle, did they even know what monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the lost gods, thousands had died. But Renato had been through wars. The only merciful war was a short one. But was this fruit local? That's what Renato wanted to know.
哦，所以你拿到一个真相的时候，你就可以解锁第2层的技能。然后你拿到2个真相跟3个真相的时候，就会解锁第2层跟第3层跟第4层的技能。
Haven't you always wanted to do that?
要怎么过去？这个是我现在的键盘 mark。
Hero Wall, Hero Sword, Ice Wall, Ice Cube.
The truth behind the scripture is有个神奇的石头，蕴含着非常强大的力量。 打会都讲完。
Say hi to Gravity for me.
替我去跟快吧。把人丢下去，竟然还有嘲讽台词。哦，我可以开这扇门呢。
What's there? Oh, sweet! A gem. All he needed now was a workbench, and he could slot it into his gauntlet. That had been his mistake before, trusting his old friend Lapino, who had been through so many battles with him and shed so many heartaches, who he'd rescued so many times. What was up with that guy anyway? There it was. Sky Ripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him. It was a no-brainer. He'd sacrificed his old friend Lapino to get the armature. And the armature was useless by itself, only a series of coils and wheels. War demanded sacrifices, and he would make more before the end. He would have to choose the greatest good, no matter how much it cost him. Zenobia. Well, he would see her sooner or later, across a battlefield or a sword's point before all this was over. He was sure of that. The power was in the core. Obviously, he had to get the core.
先去厕所。
He looked up at the old trees around him. They were so big and so old. They'd been there before he was born, and they'd be there after he'd passed into legend. Was he confronting his own unimportance? What had got into him? He was no philosopher. Anyway, who cares? He was plenty important. He was a hero, and soon he'd prove it.
2个，还差2个就可以把 Void 做出来了。干嘛用 ？Jump down， 这里可以跳下去耶！哦，没有。
Urin out of love to improve his gear.
哎，不对，我还差那个三个紫色元素，跳下去，哇！观众们，你们应该英文比我好吧？我英文有多烂？我相信在看台的一定有英文比我好的。
There was something sour in the air, like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
有什么东西酸臭掉的味道？
Wow! He didn't even need to aim it.
灵魂很烂啊！这东西虽然真的
There were
真
fewer
的很单
and
调，
fewer
但是打起来
trees.
很爽哎。
There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the ravens when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest, the mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? And he was getting hungry too. This was an unhealthy place to be.
还好有记得回来看。英文普通，我英文是很烂，超级烂，最烂的那种。这游戏美术风格其实不赖，是我喜欢的东西。当当。 秀宇人在台湾的哪里？北中南？我觉得台北很冷啊。不觉得很冷吗？ 会不会是因为我家在12楼的关系啊？那个窗户一开风超大。对，我没有出去晒太阳，我就待在家里。
The 20-sided core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark arts, and he hadn't liked what he smelt and saw there. This felt like that. As quick as he could, he wrangled the icosahedron into the armature. The wheels began to spin, then glow. The sick feeling quickly spun away. Now he only felt sad. He had lost good friends for this war apparatus. Maybe Lapino wasn't such a good friend. Yeah, that made him feel better. He carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it. Well, of course. If you've just assembled a weapon out of legend that can exile gods from the world, you'd want to have a scientist or two look at it. And even if they disagreed and he had time, he could ask Calaveras himself. Yes, the observatory would be his objective. Why had the parts of the Sky Ripper only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had dismantled it? The mad Emperor Isengrim had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Was that why these ancient artifacts were rising out of the ground? How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction.
Those sheaves are really very well made, weren't they?
Renato felt like he was bursting with knowledge. But what kind?
然后关于这个技能的升级，它其实是对主角来说，它是回想起过去。
Bowman right by his side.
A legendary weapon was exactly what the rebellion needed. They were outnumbered. The once kind emperor had become a tyrant. But his ravens stayed loyal, for he fed them his victims, and the other animals were too frightened to rebel. Renato shuddered at what the emperor was trying to do. To bring back the lost gods, the Black Harvest, the Black Sun? No. He would stop that toad, no matter what the risk.
Renato had a lot of crafting materials. Now all he needed was a crafting bench.
秀宇看了之后，会不会觉得有点想玩这个游戏？Steam 有啊，这游戏 Steam 有。
The Nexus Observatory had the Empire's most renowned scientists. working by themselves without interference. At least, so far.
Oh yeah. 找一个太视频。还差3个，这边也是差3个。
There was an inscription, no spitting.
Oh no. 我靠，这样也被打到哦。
He wished there were more pylons he could use the hook on. Boy, some people are just liable to explode if you upset them.
Watch out for explosive ravens. 爆炸乌鸦。When hit or thrown, they will explode after a few seconds. Use them to your advantage. 哦，也是啦。最近花钱是一美金，那个真的超值啊，值得花。哎 ，shit， 血包在那里吃不到，哦，吃到。应该有路吧？目标就是把4个秘密都解开。原来如此。对，老游戏的话，游戏会降价，所以光南那边多半是比较老旧的。
Renato was thrilled. The scientists seemed to think he'd put the Sky Ripper together right. But one toad was worried.
Yeah, Sky Ripper could tear a hole in existence itself. There are invisible strings that tie the universe together. If Sky Ripper cut one, the hole would widen and widen till our whole existence fell into it.
Another toad sighed.
Irving still believes in string theory. At least go see Calaveras.
Yeah, said the worried toad.
He knows more than anyone else has forgotten about the Transcendent Emperor.
If anyone could tell him how to use this weapon safely, it would be Calaveras. It was he who had told Renato how to find it in the first place. But maybe he had to give up on using it as a weapon. Maybe he had to go to the secret rebel base and ask the generals there what he could do with a weapon that he dared not use. Well, he should have known he'd have to consult Calaveras again. The scientists at the observatory were smart enough. But what did they know of the Transcendent Emperor? He hoped it wouldn't delay him too long. The rebels had scheduled the final battle soon. Every day they delayed risked the exposure of the secret base. And some soldiers were already drifting back to their homes and families. Calaveras would fix the Sky Ripper for him. And then he would win the final battle.
而且主角超帅的、啊，主角是只超帅的狐狸大叔。
Maybe it was the cold, but after a few steps, Renado's optimism started to slump. What if Calaveras couldn't help? Did Renado dare use the Sky Ripper? Oh, he hated that he had chosen this path. It was so much simpler to rescue friends and attack enemies, even if some of those friends were more trouble than his enemies. Some of those enemies had been friends before and might be lovers after. No, okay, it wasn't all that much simpler, no. Physics made his brain hurt. That, at least he was sure of. What else could you hook?
我还蛮喜欢玩剧情向的游戏，喜欢看故事。超帅。
Tried to focus on the now. The ravens who seemed everywhere all the time. Where did they hatch from? Were there giant raven hatcheries somewhere, or did they have families? He didn't want to think about raven mummies raising their darling raven chicks. Yeah, Calaveras would help. He would make Renado feel better about using the Sky Ripper. Then Renado wouldn't have to worry about ravens ever again.
Said Renado, in your next life.
去玩阴尸路，看我才不会去玩这种游戏好吗？ 首先叫阴尸路就 GG 啦。
Renado wondered if it wasn't cheaper to build bridges and stairs.
Oh, remake 啊，《侠客风云传》还蛮好玩的。 嘿，多多绿，好久不见！现在在跑的是 Stories， 一个短但是内容丰富的游戏。然后我觉得我英文好烂。
Like having a pet. Well, like having a goblin for a pet.
Pro 是啥 ？PS4 Pro， 它是高阶 PS4，PS4 的高阶版。
Smashing things was fun.
然后最近有一整批的 Pro 的货。最近大量进货啊！前2次进货的时候。 那个就是反正供不应求嘛，就缺货啊。然后之前台北电玩展的时候说铺了几千台的货，然后那个时候就只有那样子。最后 PS Pro 的那个它 有人那个时候去买，然后当黄牛卖，喊价喊到3万块，我也不知道这些人到底笑欸。我昨天出门去临时出门没有开台，就是因为我同学差点要买黄牛，整个就是叫你先冷静。因为我记得3月底4月初有一批货。
Just anywhere with chests.
玩的实况主说话的句尾也会加很多啊，什么东西？什么意思啊？先买先享受，晚买享优惠，不对。 这句话基本上不对，因为你官方定价就是12980，那超过这个价格全部都是黄牛。他们是恶意的买来转卖的。 是大陆人的关系吗？应该跟大陆人没关系吧？对，没错，跟大陆人没有关系。
Renato had been focusing all his energies on the Sky River. If Calaveras could not fix it, he'd be out of options. He would have to assault the Imperial fleet empty-handed.
不是好吗？这样啊？哎，干我卡点了！完了！ 干我卡点了！干
He was getting nowhere. Fast.
bug。是擅长遇到 bug 的朋友呢，好厉害 ！bug 机。他没有所谓回到 checkpoint 这种东西。
Maybe it was the cold. But after a few steps, Renato's optimism started to slump.
干，从这整
What
张
if
最
Calaveras
开
couldn't
始开
help?
始哦。
Did Renato dare use the Sky Ripper? Oh, he hated that he had chosen this path. It was so much simpler to rescue friends and attack enemies. Even if some of those friends were more trouble than his enemies, some of those enemies had been friends before and might be lovers after. No, okay, it wasn't all that much simpler, no. Physics made his brain hurt. That, at least he was sure of.
好哦，你这模式很好。
Renato danced around the room yelling, "Oh yeah, that's how we do it." It was something he liked to do, but only after he'd killed all the witnesses.
craziest weapon he'd ever used.
我靠，
Or not.
好痛哦！
It wasn't his fault.
哎，对
They
了，
looked so
我现在可以开这扇门嘞。
breakable. What was really fun was hooking yourself onto a moving ship. A present? For me?
A present for me。句号欠揍。靠北明明就是你去翻箱倒柜，在那边给我的礼物。
Tried to focus on the now. The ravens who seemed everywhere all the time. Where did they hatch from? Were there giant raven hatcheries somewhere, or did they have families? Ooh, he didn't want to think about raven mummies raising their darling raven chicks. Yeah, Calderas would help. He would make Renato feel better about using the Sky River. And then Renato wouldn't have to worry about ravens ever again. Tempted to just stand on the device and let it do all the killing for him. But that wouldn't be sporting, would it? Or fun?
对，我被炸到了。
This is quite the view, he thought. Renato had sacrificed a friend for the Sky Ripper. It would be worth it if he could bring a super weapon to the rebellion, but the scientists had ruined everything. Calaveras had never let him down.
Yeah, of course I can make it work better.
But when Renato explained about the strings, Calaveras grew thoughtful.
Oh, strings, you say? Well, the Arcana do speak of the ties that bind the world.
He drew many intricate symbols in the dirt.
Yeah, so, according to my calculations, each time you fire, I'm afraid there's a 1 in 128 chance you'll destroy the universe.
That's pretty good odds. That's like rolling, what, 21 dice and they all come up 6. What are the odds of that?
What? No! It's more like 2.716s in a row.
Anyway, with those odds, it won't happen if I use it just once.
Yeah, no, that's not right. Each time you use it... Okay, look, just don't use it ever.
All right, I guess. As he sailed away from the mountains, Renato could see clouds darkening. Rain? No. Ships. Imperial ships, swarming thick as bees. This was it. The big battle. They could not afford to lose this one. What if it did not go well? What if he had to use the Sky Ripper? Could he gamble the universe? On the other hand, what were the odds of rolling 21 6s in a row?
刚刚不知道这次会遇到什么东西。小慈呢
The battle was not going spectacularly well. What had the rebels been thinking? They'd been thinking he would bring the Sky Ripper, or the Iblis Stone, or that he'd sideline Zenobia somehow, or turn her. Couldn't he use the Sky Ripper just once? After all, if chances were 1 in 128, that meant he'd for sure be okay the first time. They'd get worse each time he used it, but the first time would be okay, right? He wasn't sure that it was right. So he didn't fire the Sky Ripper. He just brought it along, in case.
最后一把剑就是你。
This sword from the mystical east could make time itself slow for you.
耶，所有的门都可以开了，太好了。耶，我可以开这道门了。
You never knew where the road would take you, thought Renato.
Is it a sport? It's a key. 哎靠，这边完全不一样哎。下雪，哇哦！ 过不去。哦，也就是说后面还有路。 这里哦。
What were these poles exactly? Parking meters from the time of the lost gods? Someone had told him the odds didn't change just because you'd had a streak of good luck. His gut told him that was wrong, though. And he always listened to his gut. On the other hand, 128 chances to win. But one of them would destroy the universe. Ooh, that seemed a bit serious. Maybe he could defeat the Emperor without firing the Sky Ripper. Maybe he could bluff, but with a real weapon. Like in cards, when you had 3 knaves, but you pretended you had a fizbin. That could work. Done beautifully. Where was a bard when you needed one?
Wasn't making a dent in those shields.
It was a bit windy up here. He set up the Sky Ripper and let it warm up. He would bluff if he had to. Zenobia came out, flanked by a very daunting platoon of ravens. You won't actually use that, she said in that annoying, I know everything because I'm a cat and you know nothing because you're just a fox voice she had. Oh, I know the odds. Good. There's a real chance you could destroy the universe. No, not the first time I use it. The odds are too low. What? No? Yeah, sure. The first time, the odds are practically nothing. They only go up if I use it a bunch more times. No, but that's not how odds work. Didn't you pay attention in class? Now surrender, or I'll use it. Just once, he said. Don't. He felt sure the odds were with him. He had to go with his gut. That's what heroes do. Fire, he said. Please? The Sky Ripper fired. With a tremendous whoosh, the Emperor's flagship went up in flames.
Fire, please.
It
然后他就
was awesome.
他就真的 fire.
Then he noticed there was a hole in the air. A blackness, like a tear in a parchment. Wind was blowing into it, widening it. It grew larger and even larger. Crates fell upwards into it, and the world itself seemed bent, like the reflection on a curved mirror, as it poured into the ravenous hole. Ah, 1 in 128. What are the odds? Thought Renato. And then everything fell into the hole and was gone. Renato stared at the book. He was still alive. Again. And still only flying away from burning Ubar. Had he lived that adventure? Or only dreamt it? Had he really died? It felt so real, not like a dream at all. And he'd lost again. Oh, he hated that. But he had made different choices. And he'd lost in a different way.
The Sky Rover, Sky to the Galaxy.
Oracles showed you your destiny. But this was showing him different ways he could die miserably. Thanks a bunch, book, he thought. But these were destinies that he did not have to fulfill. But he learned another true thing. The core was powerful, but dangerous if used improperly.
A new truth. The Sky Reaper core is unsteadable. 所以说上面这个是第一层是跟那它会不会是所以这个东西是 Sky Reaper 那这是什么东西啊？它第二层是公主的，所以这一层是跟 Sky Reaper 有关的结局吗？看这游戏的所以说1、2、3、4、5、6、7，这里6，两乘6。哎，不对啊，这就是编号21嘛，22、23、24，所以有24个结局哦。看什么时候才能要跑24趟？不是吧？应该是，科科。所以我们还剩2个，那我们要怎么挖公主的？他刚说那个这个东西就是那个秘密武器，应该有机会发动成功，毕竟它不稳定。对，这边都是绿色的，这边的蓝的，这边的红的，这边的黄的。So， 我们要去挖剩下2个秘密了。
But that meant there must be a destiny where he survived and won, right? Otherwise, what was the point? And with that, the book's pages fluttered back once more to the beginning, and the clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Renato. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
是 Trevorian。好耶。我拿了耶。感谢渔夫的情报。所以我们这次
The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It sounded ominous. It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous.
And so, Bernardo went ostrich hunting.
顺便去帮他装机，帮他申请一些有的没的，跟他讲 PS 要怎么用。这款哦。
Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away.
Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Meat Boy。感谢大家，感谢一下渔夫带来的情报，虽然是他朋友带的。我看一下现在 Steam 还有什么。 渔夫本来就是来提供情报的，是这样吗？新地图，新区域。
Well, no sense collecting more materials. It was time to make something pointy. Trusty old sword was always a little better when he sharpened it.
对啊，肉肉哥39。可是我没有想玩。
distrusted doors that opened automatically. especially after being buried for
应该
millennia.
说，就算买了，我应该也不会
Was
玩。
this some sort of trap?
这游戏有够难。刚刚那个怎么自己掉下去了？
Smelt burnt fur. Yes.
His mother never let it. The ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way
干
in.
嘛啊？
Good. Then he hadn't come too late.
Death to traitors! Caught the ravens. Already Renato knew more than he ever had. But about what? Is a very cool sword, thought Renara. No, seriously. He couldn't feel his paw anymore.
三国志靠霸主变成圆坦。袁家的啊。By the stone, you have been chosen in this critical mission for your ability to follow orders to the letter without questions. Do not believe the naysayers. The mysterious text is only proof that you are better. Find the stone immediately. Place it in your box. Then seal the box. If you hear a voice in your head, ignore it. Remember the temple is part. This is that object. It came to the man of evil. Surprise focus. It will be fun. 写成大写反而是看不懂。Draw spell if you hit another soldier with the stone and it is not in the chromatic box, immediately spray them with rosy dust. Firestone, put it in the box, seal the box, and most important for Firestone. 总之就是皇帝，应该是皇帝写给他士兵的信。但是皇帝写给他士兵的命令，总之去找到那个石头，然后因为说什么有恶灵之类的会阻挠你，所以如果你找到石头之后，就放进那个盒子里面，然后带回去。那如果听到奇怪的声音，告诉你
He felt like
任何事
Tarzan.
情，都不要相信，都不要听，因为本来就会有那个声音去迷惑你。多绿，你之前不是有6万吗？呵呵，曾经的6万欸。你这个样子永远存不到鸡腿啊！
I think this is yours, said Reynardo. He couldn't hear his enemy's answer.
就说什么下次我一定不会赌，然后结果还是赌掉了。多多绿，你看看你，完美啊！
A gem of power. Oh, you didn't find those every day.
慢慢收集啊！我开台时间这么长。
How could a temple to Iblis still even exist? The Transcendent Emperor had destroyed all the shrines of the lost gods after exiling them. Had it been buried in that long-ago battle? Or had Iblis foreseen his fate and hidden it from his enemy?
自己承受不住诱惑要去赌，哎，我不把赌博关掉，哈？哈？
He was more and more extraordinary. He was practically sure he'd find something useful in one of these things.
Renaro checked to make sure his sword was still working. Yep.
Physical resistance. Wow.喂，你们到底？被王翦砍死。人家王翦好歹也是赵国的，不对，战国时期秦国的。
The Ravens at least could not get past this point.
没办法获
Obviously,
得
the
六大
temple
将
builders
军
knew
之
how to
后的
deal with tomb raiders.
可怜。哦，然后王翦的，据说王翦非常有野心。
A very clever engineer named Elon Muskrata got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that.
考不上啊！我靠腰！ 早就知道啦。实际上超有野心的好吗？至于为什么？因为我有看《王者天下》啊。
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that?
Voice will confuse you.
It was the stone. Eager, thirsty.
Kill the Emperor's daughter, and I will make you.
That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and Renato wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. Not the core, said the stone anxiously. Why was he listening to a talking rock?
Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old toad had sought for himself.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
好哦，我们去宰了公主，我们去宰了皇帝的女儿，我们去宰了那个骗子。我觉得这游戏会越玩心情越复杂哎，支线选择这么多。
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent emperor? Was it the future? Feed his souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood.
所以才告诉你
All right,
说
I get
所以
it.
才告诉他的
This
士
was
兵
going to
说
be
你听到
interesting.
什么东西都不要听。然后我们主角就这样堕入魔道了。你们这么爱赌，是不是真的把赌博关掉啊？
Can I borrow that?
This was the nice part of town, but the ravens had been through here. They like to take shiny things home to their nests.
乌鸦喜欢把闪亮亮的东西带回自己巢穴，还蛮好笑的。
I'm sorry. Is that your shield?
The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Renardo. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power. The stone told him.
杀越多人，那石头越强大。
Yes, please.
This couldn't be good for global warming.
Entry on queue. Eh, 所以这个东西会升级哦。好。想说这颗宝石我好像拿过，我有拿过。
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
Drop down。路线又不一样。
Well, the eyes have had it.
开啊？屁嘞！所以说是从外面到里面。这怎么过去？耶！哦，快死！
This stone was incredibly valuable.
Treasure Hunter。
Renato could sense it. Also, it still had its price tag. Zenobia was waiting for Renato. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender?
She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone.
And I've missed you too, love.
He chuckled. She spotted the stone and bolted without another word. Hey! Hey, a workbench! He could try out his new bling. The mysterious sword from the east made you so fast you could catch a fly with your chopsticks. If that's what you really wanted.
Dear Zenobia, as you read this letter, you are locked in your chambers, ready to spend your last night before. Well, you know, I will not apologize. I know you are too proud. Forgive me. I was right. Now you won't resist reading the truth. You are dead. As much as I have to. That's why I'm writing this now. I know I will not have the heart to the night of the sacrifice. I may change my mind. Honestly, I am selfish, and yes, I am the selfish. Say little to words, praise God, but I'm doing well. Ultimately, super greater. I want the poor. So I don't keep away subject content. Please follow me. Even if you can't stay spend it, you have to. It's the only way I can protect myself from doing this to you. I will miss you for it. Tomorrow, try not to make mistakes. Everyone will be watching.皇帝，你他妈的对你女儿做了什么？总之他女儿被关在。
Renato remembered when he'd first stolen one of these. Good times.
他女儿被他关起来，然后皇帝挺不笑的。
Finally, Renato caught up to her.
Zenobia 已经
He
发
had
现
never seen
我
her
们身
scared
上有
before.
石头。
At school,
邪恶的
she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. Kill her, whispered the stone. You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please. No, said Zenobia. Not that way. Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be?
我们这次来当个混乱邪恶吧。
With a flick of his wrist, he slashed Zenobia's throat. Her eyes widened even more. And then the light went out again. Renato felt amazing. Power was rushing into him like water from a burst dam. Oh, such brilliance, exulted the Iblis stone. Tasty. Renato returned to the Farfarer and set a course for the Nexus. The Empire had a communication outpost there. He could call the Emperor directly. It was time to seize the outpost and let the Emperor know what he had done.
Tasty. 这是邪恶石头，邪恶。
The Nexus was beautiful. He'd never realized how beautiful. Everything glowed. The wind was so sweet. The sun so soft. The stones so warm. The black raven feathers. Black feathers. Suddenly, his eyes are filled with them. He's falling through smoke under a dead sun. A voice calls him home. Is this a vision? Whose? Is this the time of the lost gods? Or the future? No matter. What mattered now was killing his way to the Imperial outpost and challenging the Emperor from there.
现在的
It was definitely easier to fight inanimate objects.
哎呀，按错啦，选。字幕跑好快，都看到一半。毕竟是以英文为母语的游戏嘛。
There was blood on this one, so it hadn't saved its owner. Up ahead was Lupino. What was he doing here? Bernardo!
Hey, buddy.
你
Hey
是
there,
推特，
old
我早
buddy.
就知道了。
Please don't kill me.
哦，你这么说，
Why
我
would
当然
I
要杀
kill
你
you?
啦。
asked Renato, although he had been thinking about it.
Well, you've become... look, I mean, no disrespect at all here. Kind of
你现在看起来
evil?
好像 evil，
Maybe
看起来像
you should,
看
I
起
don't
来像
know,
个
go to the mountains
也许
to
你是
have a think,
我不知道。
see if maybe you're sure the stone is
山
not
上，
all that
然后
healthy a
想想。
thing to keep.
I suppose you wanted, Renato said, and
所以
poked Lapino in the
你
chest
想要
for
那个石头吗？
emphasis. Oh,
哦，
had he just killed Lapino? Oh, damn it.
Lapino 白轻而易举的掉了。反正现在混乱邪恶路线嘛。
Imagine getting a horse up in one of these things. It would be cursing a blue streak.
Shieldbreaker. Your keys control. 不要换。哦，不是好吗？
Renato rampaged through the Imperial outpost like a water buffalo rampaging. At the last moment, he remembered not to kill the Far Speaker Toad. After all, he wanted a word with the Emperor. But there was only silence. Ha! The Emperor was scared, like little girl. Well, he would gather the rebel army and slaughter the Imperial fleet. Applauded the Iblistone. Tremendous. Then the Emperor would have to answer his Far Speaker, wouldn't he? Who are you? Asked a distant voice that sounded uncomfortably like Zenobia. What have you become? The mountains. Go to the mountains, urged another that sounded a bit like Lapino. Called the Rebel Council to let them know to gather their forces. Then he killed the Far Speaker Toad.
Emperor.
Why? Oh, because to make sure his sword was sharp. Oh no, that's awful. So no one else could use it. Yes, that's it. Then he set off for the ruins and the secret rebel base. The ruins were crawling with ravens. Probably looking for the secret base, Renato thought. But then he realized they're probably looking for me. They must be very scared of me. Well, here I am! You are the hottest warrior ever, whispered the Iblistone. And he had to agree with it, for once. Who was as good as Renato? There had to be something useful in these things, didn't there? platform used a hybrid propulsion system fueled by anti-gravity and wishful thinking. He was sort of yanking his own chain, wasn't he?
Right, who wants to die first?
Firewalls only let you through if they think you're hot enough.
啊，干啊！手可以动门。悲剧各种手拿哎。
Urge the stone. Let me make you emperor. Come to think of it, Renato thought as he put down another raven, why shouldn't I be emperor? How did anybody get to be emperor anyway? By making war. Oh, I mean, not counting the transcendent emperor, obviously, who had banished the lost gods and started time. Yes, he should be emperor. He would make a great emperor. Right, Stone? Oh, right, boss. Anyone ever tell you have a lovely eye? No? Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. Ice walls only let you through if they knew you were cool. Had that door been opened before? Bernardo strode into the council. Let's do this thing. Let's make me emperor. They looked confused and nervous. Ah, had he mentioned the emperor thing? He meant to bring that up later. I mean, let's go win this rebellion. He waved his sword around encouragingly. They ran. Cowards. He'd stop them. He cut down a few to inspire the others. But soon, there was no one to cut down. Well then, he'd have to attack the fleet alone. More for me, he said. Unless it was the stone that said it. Traitors. Traitors, all of them. They'd run rather than following him, rather than cheering him. What should he do to the cowards? Anything he wanted to. After all, he was a true hero, the best warrior there ever was. No one could stop him now. But first, finish him. The Emperor, that is. Where was the rebel fleet? They weren't even trying an assault. They were going to miss a day in history. The downfall of this dynasty, and a new one to take its place. He didn't have to kill all the ravens. He could enslave them, and enslave the toads too. All the animals would worship him as a god. He had once been a god. They would willingly give him their blood and their souls. And the world would change, would become familiar again. I wonder what happens if I go that way. Once you try it, you're hooked. Bernardo was glowing with dark power. Already the sun had dimmed. He could do anything, he realized. He could wrap the island safely in smoke again. He was beyond a hero. He was going to become a god again. How odd, he thought, that the Iblis Stone had nothing to say about any of this. Well, no matter. Once he killed this petty toad emperor, he would bring back the Black Sun. Sharp? Check. Pointy? Check. Flexible? Check. What else do you need in a sword? Really ought to put a railing on this thing, he thought.
对啊，这游戏就是这样。战斗的时候音乐超热情。哦，终于到这里来了。皇帝的船。看来它地图真的是随路线不同在开。
He found the Emperor and the Council huddling by his ship, plotting. They saw him and cowered before him.
Back to hell, fiend.
等一下
Croaked the Emperor desperately.
，Emperor 是
Of the
蟾
transcendent
蜍，但
emperor.
是
Croaked the
他女儿
speaker.
是猫。
They held some
傻小
arcane items he didn't recognize.
我刚刚
He
睡着了。
simply flexed his
秀
will
宇现在是混乱邪恶路线，然后这个打完我就要出门了。
and Iblis exulted. It is finished.
那你怎么没感觉？什么东西
And
没
the
感觉？
void that had been a mere stone on a sword expanded. It stretched and ripped like a vast womb. And a gaze, black and pitiless as the sun, passed through the void into the land. And so
我今天如
time
果
ended.
回来的时候还有时间，我想，
And just like that,
原来如此
he。was alive again. And back on the Farfarer, still
靠北哦
fleeing burning
What kind of
Ubar.
hero are you?
The book was still
Hero
open
who
before him.
fully embraced
So,
power, who
The
transcends
book was a
being the
portal.
hero who dares to
It took you to the
conquer.
future, when your destinies would branch. He had failed and died 3 times, but he learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it.
科科 The evil stone corrupts anyone who uses it. 所以我们就剩一个真相，就可以到最后的锁了。那我们今天晚上回来，如果今天晚上回来的时候有，就是我还有体力的话，我待会要把 Pro 搬给我同学。So， 那今天晚上回来还有体力的话，我会继续玩这个游戏。那下次开应该也是这个游戏先，应该啦，这么说。有一个例外状况，就是小池突然抱一台 PS4 回来，然后要我们陪他打佛阿呢，那我会去陪他打佛阿呢，好不？因为毕竟还是我怂恿他买 PS4 的。对啊。看，这有24种路线哎！妈的，24。Pro 啊，在这里啊，这东西，就是我想拆来玩哦。啊！好了，我先收台了，等我一下哦。靠北哦，我手机嘞，我不想用。看我手机嘞，我先收台啦，再见。